Simulan mong abutin ang iyong pangarap na magbibigay dangal sa iyong bukas. Ang suliranin, hindi laging nandyan, dapat mong harapin. Kami iyong kasama sa bawat takin, magkaakbay nating lulutasin. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Ang mga aral ay ginintuang atin ng bawat guro na siyang gagabay sa iyong pagkamulat. Naway umukit ito sa iyong isipan, maging mapanuri, sundin ng wasto at nararapat. Kagandahang asal ang ipakita, ipadama ang pusong may malasakit. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Sakali mang tayo'y subukin ng unos, ating haharapin ng walang takot. Sasamahan ka ni Fernan at Dino, ang bagong barkada mo. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, edukasyon mo'y sigurado na. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, edukasyon mo'y sigurado na.
Fernandino Teens TV.
Good morning, Fernandino teens. Welcome to another episode of Learning. I am Ma'am Roselyn, your science teacher lecturer for today. Are you excited for today's lesson? Great! Our topic for today is all about typhoons. And to know more about typhoons, read with me our objectives for today. First, explain how typhoons develop, move, and dissipate. Second, trace the path of typhoons that enter the Philippine area of responsibility using a map and tracking data. Third, demonstrate precautionary measures before, during, and after a typhoon, including following advisories and storm signals given by government agencies in charge. Have you ever heard or watched an international weather report? I'm sure you already did. You might usually hear the weather forecasters from different countries use the word hurricane, cyclone, or typhoon. But they all refer to one natural phenomenon, and that is tropical cyclones. If you are at the outer space, This is how a tropical cyclone looks like. Based on National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, tropical cyclone is a generic term to describe a rotating organized system of clouds and thunderstorms that originates over warm tropical oceans. Since they originate from the warm tropical oceans, can you recall the different oceans of the Earth? Good! Historically, there are 4 named oceans: the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Arctic. However, most countries, including the United States, now recognize the Southern Ocean located near the Antarctic as the 5th ocean. The Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian are the most known oceans. Now, can you point where the Pacific Ocean is? Great job! How about the Atlantic Ocean? Awesome! Next, can you point where the Indian Ocean is? And of course, the Arctic Ocean is located at the top. A tropical cyclone that originates over the North Atlantic Ocean and the Northeastern Pacific Ocean are called hurricanes. Those that originate over the Northwestern Pacific around the Philippines, Japan, and China are referred to as typhoons. While those that originate over the Southwestern Pacific and Indian Ocean are referred to as simply cyclones. But for today, we are going to focus on the tropical cyclone that happens in the Philippines. What was that again? Great! We call it typhoons. We all know what a typhoon is, or more accurately, we know what to expect when a typhoon comes. We get a lot of rain and strong winds. Now, you may not have noticed it, but the winds in a typhoon move in a certain direction. They go around a central area. The picture shows a super typhoon as viewed from up above the earth. A typhoon looks the same, only smaller. See the clouds in a spiral arrangement? They are being blown by winds in a counterclockwise direction. In a super typhoon, the wind speed is greater than 220 kilometers per hour. If the wind speed is less, from 118 to 220 kilometers per hour, then it is called a typhoon. If the wind speed is between 89 and 117 kilometers per hour, it is called a severe tropical storm. If the wind speed is between 62 and 88 kilometers per hour, it is called a tropical storm. And when the wind speed is greater than 61 kilometers per hour, it is a tropical depression. Tropical depression, tropical storm, severe tropical storm, typhoon, and super typhoon are categories of tropical cyclones. Again, a tropical cyclone is a rotating organized system of clouds and thunderstorms that originates over warm tropical oceans. As the winds intensify or weaken, the category is upgraded or downgraded accordingly. In the Philippines, we generally call it bagyo, whether it is a tropical depression, a tropical storm, a typhoon, or a super typhoon. To understand fully, let us make a simulation of the movement of winds around a center in a tropical cyclone. Come and join me!
The title of our simulation is Tropical Cyclone in a Bottle. The materials that we are going to use are the following: 2 plastic bottles with the same size, electric tape or masking tape, whichever is available, water, food coloring, and glitters, which are optional only. Let's start. First step is to add water into the empty bottle. After that, we're going to add few drops of food coloring and glitters in it. Next, place the other empty bottle on top of it. Then, Connect the neck of the two bottles by wrapping it using an electrical tape or whichever is available. Just make sure that the tape is secure so no water would leak out. After that, you're all set, and it's time to make a tropical cyclone. Let's flip the bottle over, then swirl and shake it into circular motion as fast as we can. Observe how it looks like. Let's take a closer look of our simulation. In this simulation, the water represents the wind going around the center of a tropical cyclone. The center of the spinning water represents the eye of a tropical cyclone. When scientists talk about the location of a tropical cyclone, they are referring to the location of the eye.
Now that you have already learned what a typhoon looks like, when we come back, we are going to know when does our country starts to monitor a tropical cyclone. Only here in Fernandina Teens TV Season 2.
Ang Schools Division Office City of San Fernando, Pampanga ay kaisa ng Department of Education sa pagsasagawa ng mga proyekto at programa na tumutugon sa mga pangangailangan ng mga mag-aaral. Inilunsad ang Division Call Center for Tutors and Guidance Counselors upang magbigay ng educational at psychological assistance sa mga mag-aaral, magulang at stakeholders ng division. Kaya, kung may nais kayong itanong tungkol sa pag-aaral, maaaring magpadala ng mensahe sa Division Call Center for Tutors and Guidance Counselors Facebook page o tumawag sa mga numero na makikita sa ibaba ng inyong screen tuwing Lunes hanggang Biyernes sa ganap na alas 8 ng umaga hanggang alas 6 ng gabi. Maaari rin kayong sumangguni sa ating guidance counselors na nagbibigay ng guidance and counseling services. Lahat ng inyong ibabahagi ay mananatiling confidential. Ang nasabing programa ay nagsisilbing daan upang malaman ang feedbacks ng stakeholders para matulungan ang ating divisyon na mapagbuti pa ang mga sumusunod na programa. Ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Tumawag na sa aming mga numero o bumisita na sa aming Facebook page at magpadala ng inyong mga katanungan.
Fernandina Teens TV.
Welcome back, Fernandina Teens. When a weather disturbance enters the Philippine Area of Responsibility, or the PAR, the Weather Bureau begins to monitor it. Do you know where the PAR is? Feel free to join our activity to find out. In this activity, you are going to plot on the map where the Philippine Area of Responsibility is. I'm sure you are already familiar with our activity because you are going to use the skills that you have learned when you were in your 7th grade in plotting the latitude and longitude on the map. Let's start.
The materials that we are going to use is a pencil or a pen, a ruler, and the map of the Philippines and vicinity. For the procedure, we are going to plot the following points on the map. In this case, we are going to plot point A to point F. After that, we are going to connect the plotted points. The region within the plotted points will be the Philippine Area of Responsibility. As you can see, each point has a corresponding latitude and longitude. Remember that latitude and longitude are a system of lines used to describe the location of any place on Earth. Lines of latitude run in an east-west direction, while the lines of longitude run in a north-south direction. Let's start plotting the following points on the map. For point A, we have 5 degrees north and 115 degrees east. For point B, we have 15 degrees north and 115 degrees east. For point C, we have 21 degrees north and 120 degrees east. For point D, we have 25 degrees north and 120 degrees east. For point E, we have 25 degrees north and 135 degrees east. For point F, we have 5 degrees north and 135 degrees east. Now, we are done on plotting the following points. The next thing that we're going to do is to connect the plotted points. Let us now connect the plotted points. The region within is the Philippine Area of Responsibility. PAR or PAR is the area that the Pagasa monitors whenever there is a weather disturbance such as a tropical cyclone. The Pagasa, which stands for Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, is responsible in monitoring all tropical cyclones that enter the Philippine Area of Responsibility.
Now that you know where the PAR is, this time you will get to know why tropical cyclones keep on developing near our country. What conditions are present in the vicinity of the Philippines that allow the development of tropical cyclones? When you were on your 7th grade, you have learned about the geographical location of the Philippines. Can you still recall which part of the globe is the Philippines located? Good job! The Philippines is located at the northeastern part of the globe. To be exact, it is located 12.87 degrees north and 121.77 degrees east. It is important to know the location of the Philippines because it will help us understand how typhoons are formed. Shown here are the tracks or paths of 4 tropical cyclones that entered the PAR in the past years. The tracks were plotted by Pagasa. Study the maps and the 5 guided questions. Feel free to comment your thoughts on the comment section below. First, where did the tropical cyclones form? On land or in the ocean? Second, what can you say about the temperature of the bodies of water in the vicinity of the Philippines? Is the water warm or cold? Third, in what direction did the tropical cyclones move? Fourth, which part of the Philippines was hit by the 4 tropical cyclones? Fifth, in the case of Bagyong Agaton, Yoyong, and Waning, where did they die out? Near land or in the middle of the ocean? Let's see if you got the right answers. For the first question, where did the tropical cyclones form? On land or in the ocean? It is clear from the maps that all 4 tropical cyclones started out in the Pacific Ocean. Tropical cyclones usually form where there is warm water. The temperature should be 26.5 degrees Celsius or more. The warm ocean water heats up the air above it. The warm air then rises. The rising warm air results in a low pressure area. Air in the surroundings will then move toward the area. Now, there is water vapor in the rising warm air. The water vapor soon condenses and heat is given off. The heat makes the air rise even more, and air in the surroundings will keep coming in. The air starts to spin and a tropical cyclone is born. For the second question, what can you say about the temperature of the bodies of water in the vicinity of the Philippines? Is the water warm or cold? As we all know, our country is located near the equator. Thus, it is warm in the vicinity of the Philippines, both on land and in the surrounding bodies of water. The warm water supplies the water vapor that a tropical cyclone needs to keep it going. For the third question, in what direction did the tropical cyclones move? From the map, you can see that the tropical cyclones move in a northwest direction. Not all tropical cyclones move this way, but this is the general rule for those that start from the Pacific Ocean. For the fourth question, which part of the Philippines was hit by the 4 tropical cyclones? All the tropical cyclones hit northern Philippines or the island of Luzon, except for Bagyong Gilas. You can see that the tropical cyclones start at the latitude of the Visayas and Mindanao. So, when a tropical cyclone moves to the northwest, it ends up in Luzon. This is the reason why Mindanao is not commonly hit by tropical cyclones, unless the following happens. A tropical cyclone starts at a latitude closer to the equator, or the tropical cyclone moves directly to the west, instead of moving to the northwest. This is what happened in Mindanao in recent years. They never expected that they will experience a strong typhoon, which was Bagyong Pablo. For the last question, in the case of Agaton, Yoyong, and Waning, where did they die out? Near land or in the middle of the ocean? Tropical cyclones weaken when they hit land. They die out over land because they need warm water to sustain them. They need water vapor to keep them going. Even when the tropical cyclone is still in a body of water, it may weaken and die out if the water is cold. Now that you know where tropical cyclones starts to form, why they form there, and in what direction they generally move, later, we'll work again with latitude and longitude. But this time, you will apply your skill in plotting the track of a tropical cyclone as it passes through the Philippine area of responsibility. Stay tuned, Fernandino teens. We will be right back.
Maya pa oras kaya kayo, Fernandinos. Ako pala ay Elwin Arl Serrano ng City Tourism Office ng Siyudad San Fernando. Ngayong bulan na ini, pagmasusyan tayo ang National Heritage Month na ating temang Victory and Humanity, Upholding Filipino Heritage and Identity. Kambena nini, metong karang aktibidades na ng siyudad, apin ng launching ng bayong Heritage Passport. Yung Heritage Passport, apin ng metong karing proyekto ng kaya katamong siyudad, yung pamanamuna ng Mayor Edwin D. Santiago. Anong nuka rin makalagelangan ding eganagan ng heritage sites, heritage structures, na akit tamo kin kay katamong heritage district. Makakayado din kini, ding importansya da ding mapil na tradisyon kay ni syudad, kalupa ng pamangawang parol, ang po yung pamangalesa. May aho siyang heritage passport, uling atin kang dapat gawan, anong nukaran puntalan mo lading at yung passport, at saka ka mag-selfie. Kay ba't kanta, palto making tourism office, at mamiyalang sticker ka rin eganagan ng apuntulan mong lugar. At timong may ngari ang tutong passport. Balo mingeni, panahon na ini, etamo makain bisa lumal, uli na ng COVID-19 pandemic. Kaya naman kimbanwa ngayon agkatan ko lading bikers tamo, edad 18 hanggang 50, imbis na lumaot kayo po, di na nyo lang dita ka oras di kaya katamong heritage structures kaya ni syudad. Anya naman karing mumu ng 50 bikers ang makayari kaya katamong heritage passport, may di na lang premyong Only San Fernando loot bag. Inggawan nyo mo bakit ta makapag-register, munta kayo mismo opisina na ng City Tourism, ng munisipyo, at saka kayo magdalang metong valid ID. Kabinan kaya kayong heritage passport, ating makasipit ang instruction nung nano pa ing dapat gawan. Anya naman ka rin hanggang kapadyakin, nanano ko pa, tara na!
Fernandino Teens TV.
Welcome back, Fernandino Teens. For our next activity, let us join Ma'am Kreisel as she explains to us how to track the path of a tropical cyclone as it passes through the PAR.
Materials needed: map of the Philippine and vicinity with PAR. The red figure in this map is the PAR, which stands for Philippine Area of Responsibility. We also need a tracking data of Bagyong Ompong and a pencil. Let's take a look at the tracking data of Bagyong Ompong. Included in this data are the dates, the time in GMT format, the latitude coordinates, the longitude coordinates, and the storm classification. With this data, we only have to plot coordinates from letters A to J. Let's separate the data. Remember that these are the only coordinates that we need to plot in the map, as instructed in your module. Let's start the activity. Be ready with your map and tracking data. Let's start with letter A, with the coordinates 13.9 degree north latitude and 136.2 degree east longitude. 13.9 degree north is located between the lines of 13 and 14 degree. Between these lines, we have 13.1, 13.2, 13.3, 13.4, 13.5, 13.6, 13.7, 13.8, 13.9, then the line of 14. Therefore, 13.9 is located near the line of 14. We will draw a yellow line for it. Let us now plot the coordinate 136.2 degree east longitude, which is located between the line of 136 and 137 degree east. Between these lines, we have 136.1, 136.2, 136.3, 136.4, 136.5, 136.6, 136.7, 136.8, 136.9, and the line 137 degree east. Therefore, 136.2 is near the line of 136. We will draw a violet line for it. You might have noticed that the yellow and the violet lines intersect at a point. The point where they intersect is the location of the eye of Bagyong Ompong on September 12, 2018 at 00 GMT. We will mark the intersecting point with a dot and letter A on its upper side, and we will call this as point A. Now, can you plot the coordinates of letters B to J on your own? If yes, pause this video and start plotting. Once you're done, continue watching this video. You're back! Well done! I hope you have finished plotting the coordinates. Let's continue plotting and check your work. Point B is located here, with the coordinates 14.3 degree north and 134.0 degree east. Point C with coordinates 14.5 degree north and 131.4 degree east. Point D with coordinates 14.9 degree north and 128.9 degree east. Point E with coordinates 16.0 degree north and 126.9 degree east. Point F with coordinates 17.4 degree north and 124.1 degree east. Point G with coordinates 18.0 degree north and 120.5 degree east. Point H with coordinates 19.2 degree north and 118.3 degree east. Point I with coordinates 20.6 degree north and 115.3 degree east. And lastly, Point J with coordinates 21.7 degree north and 113.5 degree east. Great job! We are done plotting the coordinates. Let's connect the points from point A to point J to see the path of Bagyong Ompong as it moved in west-northwest direction. Let's answer the guided questions. Where did Ompong form? It formed outside the PAR or in the Pacific Ocean. When did Ompong enter the PAR? It enters the PAR on September 12, 2018. Which province was hit by Ompong? It hit the province of Cagayan. When did Ompong leave the PAR? It left the PAR on September 15, 2018. In what direction did Ompong move? It moves in west-northwest direction. You did great! I hope you had fun.
Since we already know the usual path and the direction of tropical cyclones that enter the PAR, we should also be aware of its effects once it lands. The strong winds brought by a tropical cyclone are very dangerous. Many people have been hurt or killed by flying objects blown by powerful winds. And unlike earthquakes, tropical cyclones cause a lot of agricultural damage, destroying plants, trees, and crops that cost up to hundreds of millions of pesos. Now, we will look inside a tropical cyclone and find out where the winds are strongest and therefore most unsafe. This is a cross-section of a tropical cyclone. It is like cutting a cake in half and looking at it from the side. But in this case, we are looking at a tropical cyclone and the clouds that make it up. Let us explore what's inside a tropical cyclone.
A tropical cyclone has its eye wall, and rain bands. The eye is located at letter E, while the eye wall is located at letter F, while the rain bands are located from letters A to letters D. Location A is within the eye of the tropical cyclone. B, C, and D are locations that are more and more distant from the eye. The air pressure at different locations are as follows. Compare the air pressures at A, B, C, and D. What do you notice? Correct! The lowest air pressure is at the eye of the tropical cyclone. In fact, all tropical cyclones have low air pressure at the center. This is the reason why the air in the surroundings will move toward the eye. Remember that air moves toward low pressure areas. Location E is within the eye of the tropical cyclone. Location F is within the clouds surrounding the eye. The clouds at F make up the eye wall. Let's see the wind speed at the two locations. Compare the wind speed within the eye and at the eye wall. What can you say? You got it right. The wind speed in the eye is much lower compared to the wind speed in the eye wall. These are the parts of a tropical cyclone.
A tropical cyclone is indeed destructive once it lands in our country. Tropical cyclones by themselves are already dangerous, but they also cause other hazards. Those who live near hill and mountain slopes are prone to landslides during stormy weather. Those who live near the coast are vulnerable to storm surges, and those who live in low-lying areas are helpless against flash floods. That is why it is just important to be well-informed with the early warning signals that Pagasa uses in their bulletins and advisories. There are 5 levels of public storm warning signals. The phrase is rather long, so Pagasa shortens it to PSWS number 1, PSWS number 2, and so forth. Each signal refers to a certain wind speed that will affect the locality. When a signal is raised for the first time, that means that the effect of the tropical cyclone is still in the future. When PSWS number 1 is announced over a certain area, the effect is expected within 36 hours. That is still 1.5 days in the future. People have time to prepare. With PSWS number 2, the lead time or the time people must prepare is 24 hours with wind speed of 61 to 120 kilometers per hour. PSWS number 3, lead time is 18 hours with wind speed of 121 to 170 kilometers per hour. PSWS number 4 is 12 hours with wind speed of 171 to 220 kilometers per hour. And PSWS number 5, which lead time is also 12 hours, but with a wind speed above 220 kilometers per hour. Since we cannot avoid natural phenomenon like this to happen, the best thing we can do is to prepare for it before it comes. When we come back, we are going to talk about the things that we need to prepare before a tropical cyclone comes. Only here in Fernandina Teens TV, Season 2.
Hindi lamang sa larangan ng pangkabuhayan apektado ang maraming pamilyang Pilipino, kundi maging sa larangan ng pagkatuto ng bawat batang Pilipino. Inilunsad ng siyudad ng San Fernando ang programang Nurturing Environment and System for Thriving or NEST, isang education community pantry na naglalayon para sa isang malawakang pagtulong, paglantabay at paggabay na ang focus ay ang makapagbigay ng tulong at suporta sa ating mga mag-aaral sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay ng educational needs gaya na lamang ng school supplies, tutorial sessions, study tips, at iba pang mga pamamaraan na mas lalong makatutulong sa pag-angat ng ating edukasyon. Dahil hindi hadlang ang pandemya sa magandang kinabukasang naghihintay sa ating mga mag-aaral. Sino-sino nga ba ang mga kalahok sa programang ito? Sa pagtutulungan ng ating school administrators, guro, magulang, at iba pang mga miyembro ng ating komunidad gaya ng barangay officials at sangguniang kabataan ay siguradong magiging mas matagumpay ang programang ito. Paano nga ba ang magiging proseso ng naturang programa? Una, magkakaroon tayo ng isang Facebook group, ang Pampanga High School Nest Education Community Pantry na pangungunahan ng Educational Pantry Coordinator. Ang mga magulang, tagapangalaga at mga guro ay ia-add ng ating Educational Pantry members sa Facebook group na ito. Sa page na ito maaaring i-post ng mga magulang at tagapangalaga o sino mang miyembro ng Educational Pantry ang kanilang mga kahilingan o requests. Kailangan ding ilagay ang pangalan ng mag-aaral, grade, at section para sa mas agarang aksyon. Oo nga pala, hindi lang requests ang pwedeng i-post. Pwede ring mag-post ang mga nais magbigay ng tulong o mga gustong mag-donate. Sabi nga nila, sharing is caring. Tandaan na ang Facebook group na ito ay pribado at posts na may kaugnayan lamang sa page na ito ang maaaprobahan. Mayroon din palang Google Form na ipamamahagi kung saan maaari nating isumite ang ating requests o kahilingan. Paano naman ang mga walang internet access sa bahay? Huwag mangamba dahil merong mga nakalaang drop boxes ang ating paaralan na kung saan maaaring ihulog ng mga magulang at tagapangalaga ang kanilang requests. Sa mga nais namang mag-donate ng school supplies, maaaring ilagay ang mga ito sa tabi ng drop boxes. Maaari ring mag-donate ng mga kagamitan o cash donation kaakibat ang pagsusumite ng deed of donation form. Pangalawa, mahalaga ang ugnayan ng mga guro at ng mga magulang o tagapangalaga sa programang ito. Gamit ang video calls o chats ay ipahahayag ng mga guro ang adhikain ng programang ito sa mga magulang o tagapangalaga. Maaari ring gawin ang orientation na ito ng face-to-face kasabay ng schedule ng kuhanan ng mga module. Gaya ng nabanggit, hindi lamang mga bagay ang maaaring i-donate. Pwede ring mag-conduct ng tutorial session, study tips, at iba pang mga kagamitan sa pagkatuto gaya ng mga aklat o kaya ay gadgets. Ikatlo, ang requested needs ng ating mga magulang o tagapangalaga ay ililista ng ating NEST focal person. Ang mga coordinator naman ang mag-aayos ng mga ito. Ang advisors ng ating mga mag-aaral, guidance counselor, at iba pang mga guro ay ipaalam sa ating mga magulang at tagapangalaga ang petsa at oras ng pamimigay ng requested needs na gaganapin sa paaralan. Sabi nga nila, it takes a village to raise a child. Kaya naman aktibo at iba yung pakikilahok ang inaasahan sa pagsasanib puwersa ng paaralan at barangay na siyang tutukoy sa pangangailangan ng bawat Fernandinong mag-aaral at kikilos upang matugunan ito sa tulong at suporta rin ng mga miyembro ng komunidad. Isang malawakang komunidad para sa isang produktibong educational community pantry ay tiyak na lilikha ng iba yung pagkilos upang maging mas magaan at madali ang pagkatuto ng bawat kabataang Fernandino. Kaya naman tandaan, magbigay ayon sa kakayahan, kumuha ayon sa pangangailangan.
Fernandino Teens TV.
Welcome back, Fernandino teens. It is not enough that we know the public storm warning signals. We should also prepare ourselves by making an emergency kit. Now, what are the things that we must include in our emergency kit? I will show the jumbled words and guess what that thing is that must be included in our emergency kit. Feel free to write your answer on our comment section below. Let's start. First, we have good job. Of course, water is the most important thing that should be included in the kit. That is because during tropical cyclones, floods are likely to happen. And floods will contaminate our usual water sources, especially in rural areas. Thus, clean drinking water will be very hard to find during such times. Next, great, canned goods. Great, canned goods. We must pack ready-to-eat meals in case we get stranded in our homes and relief goods are not readily available. Next, good job, flashlight. During typhoons, power outages are expected to happen. Therefore, it is a must to have a flashlight ready. How about this? Amazing! Power bank. to have an alternative source of electricity where we can recharge our cell phones and other gadgets. Next. Excellent! Battery. Spare batteries can be used along with the flashlight. How about this one? Brilliant! Clothes. Extra clothes are essential when we need to evacuate our homes in case of high floods. Next. Awesome! Blanket that we can also use to keep ourselves warm and bring in the evacuation center. And last but not the least, great! First aid kit. We cannot always avoid accidents. So, it is a must to have a first aid kit handy to treat small wounds and minor ailments. Nice job, Fernandino teens! Again, we must include the following in our emergency kit: bottle of water, canned goods, flashlight, power bank, batteries, extra clothes, blanket, and first aid kit. Now, let us have a summary for our lesson for today. Tropical cyclones is the generic term to describe a rotating, organized system of clouds and thunderstorms that originates over warm tropical oceans. If a tropical cyclone originates from the southwestern Pacific and Indian Ocean, it is called a cyclone. If it originates from the North Atlantic Ocean and the northeastern Pacific Ocean, it is called a hurricane. And if it originates from the northwestern Pacific, it is called a typhoon. A tropical cyclone is formed in warm oceans with a temperature of 26.5 degrees Celsius above. The water vapor evaporates and condenses into the atmosphere. Tropical cyclones form only over warm ocean waters near the equator. The warm ocean water heats up the air above it. The warm air then rises. The rising warm air results in a low pressure area. Air in the surroundings will then move toward the area. Now, there is water vapor in the rising warm air. The water vapor soon condenses and heat is given off. The heat makes the air rise even more, and air in the surroundings will keep coming in. The air starts to spin, and the tropical cyclone is born. In the Philippines, tropical cyclones spin in a counterclockwise going to northwest direction. Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, in short, PAGASA, is the agency that is responsible in monitoring all tropical cyclones that enter the Philippine Area of Responsibility. Philippine Area of Responsibility, or PAR, is the area that the PAGASA monitors whenever there is weather disturbance such as a tropical cyclone. The PAGASA warns people with the approaching typhoons by sending public storm warning signals to give time for the people to prepare. Let us now answer the evaluation questions about our lesson for today. Question number 1. What must be the temperature of the ocean water for a tropical cyclone to form? A. 12 degrees Celsius. B. 25.6 degrees Celsius. C. 26.5 degrees Celsius above. Or D. 26.5 degrees Celsius below. You got it right. It should be 26.5 degrees Celsius above. Question number 2. Where do tropical cyclones weaken or die out? A. Land. B. Warm ocean. C. Warm countries. Or letter D. Equator. Awesome! It's letter A. Tropical cyclones weaken or die out when they hit land. Question number 3. Which of the following agency is responsible for monitoring the weather disturbances that enter our country? A. Philippine Area of Responsibility or PAR. B. Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology or PHIVOLCS. C. Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAGASA. Or letter D. Department of Science and Technology or DOST. Very good! It's letter C, PAGASA. For our last question, in what direction do tropical cyclones in the Philippines generally move? A. Northeast. B. Southeast. C. Southwest. Or letter D. Northwest. Brilliant! The answer is letter D, Northwest. Good job, Fernandino teens! I hope you learned a lot from our lesson for today. Here are the references for today's lesson. Before we end our discussion, allow me to share this quote with you. Be strong, because things will get better. It may be stormy now, but it never rains forever. Stay safe when a typhoon comes, Fernandino teens. Happy learning!
Bagong umaga, yakapin mo ang bagong pag-asa. Simulan mong abutin ang iyong pangarap na magbibigay dangal sa iyong bukas. Ang suliranin, hindi laging nandyan, dapat mong harapin. Kami iyong kasama sa bawat takin, magkaakbay nating lulutasin. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Ang mga aral ay ginintuang atin ng bawat guro na siyang gagabay sa iyong pagkamulat. Naway umukit ito sa iyong isip.